Okay. So Red Rising, love it. It's like my autistic dream. This is basically so it's about this dude. His name is Darrow. He's a hell diver. What's a hell diver, you ask? So he lives in Mars in like a cave. He lives underground, and he goes mining for resources to help build Mars. It's like basically like he's getting all the resources so they can terraform Mars and then make it like ready for humanity to live on. And he's a red, and the name Red Rising. So what a red is again like a miner. There's basically they live in this world that like it's like a caste system. So red is at the bottom. That's the manual laborers, aka the miners, and then there's the grays, which are like the police, and then there's the golds, which are like the top tier, like the king, stuff like that. And so he's a hell diver, which means he's the main guy going down in the mines. He's trying to get all the loot. Um, and like he rides the I like to imagine it's just a giant drill with like a saddle on it. He just rides through with that. But they probably explain it better in the book, but that's what I'm imagining. I say probably like I didn't read it. But yeah, so he's doing that, and then it's like showing he's mining at the start, and he's hearing over the comms being like, "Yo, you slow down. You got a gas pocket coming up. We don't want you going into that and exploding." And he's like, "Nah, screw that." Well, no, he stops, and then they're like, "Okay, you gotta wait like 3 hours for people to come out and like scan the gas pocket and make sure you're not gonna die by going through it." He's like, "Nah, screw that. I'm gonna go in with my pocket scanner and do it myself." And they're like, "Dude, that is so dangerous. Like, what? No, don't do that." And he's like, "Nah, I'm doing it anyways." And so he jumps down the hole with his pocket scanner. He goes down, and like because big drill causing lots of friction, and going deep down, it gets a little toasty down there. And so he is going down, and then he gets like real close with his pocket scanner. He has to get real close with it, and he's scanning it, but like while he's scanning it, he's getting real warm, and his exo suit gets starts melting, and it melts his fingers and then burns his hand. And he's like, and but he gets in time. He escapes. But he got real worried with that. I think no, he was worried at one point that because his hand got caught, he was like, "Shit, I might have to cut it off." And they have like this big it's like a sickle type thing called a something sling blade, something like that. But at least I imagine it as a sickle. It's a curved sword of sorts. It's like a scythe, but yeah, yeah. But so he makes it out, and then there's pit vipers down there. Those things are spooky. There's Mars grown snakes because for some reason somebody brought vipers with them on the ship to Mars, and then they adapted to the environment there. So they're real nasty things. Darrow, he has a scar on his belly from where one bit into him and tried to like, I guess, nest inside his belly. I think that's how they kill people. They just kind of, yeah, kind of brutal. But yeah, so he gets out, he scans it. It's fine. He can tunnel through there, and he's like, "All right, I got this." And they're like, "Dude, you're a mad lad. Why'd you do that?" And he's like, "Because we're gonna win the laurel." Now, what the laurel is like a competition between all the different Mars mining colonies. Whoever does the best gets the laurel. Like whoever collects the most, I think it's helium-3 is the resource. They get the laurel, and the laurel means they get extra rations. So like you're not starving to death. Now you get like a little bit of money. You get like I think you get chocolate even, crazy. But yeah, so but because of him going in with the pocket scanner, he's able to gain the most helium-3, and that wins them the laurel. And so he's excited. He's like, "Fuck yeah, I'm gonna go tell my wife." And he goes and tells his wife, and his family's all hyped up. And she's like, "Dude, you're an idiot. Why did you hurt yourself?" And he's like, "I thought you'd be hyped for me." And she's like, "Dude, come on." And he's like, "Okay, whatever." Actually, no, he didn't tell her about it. He said, I have a surprise for you. That's what it was. And so it kind of explains a little bit of background with him and like everything at this point where like basically the Reds, they're big in the dancing, and his dad taught him to dance. No, his uncle taught him to dance because his dad got killed for doing a forbidden dance, and they hanged him. And the way that they do hanging there, because it's on Mars and low gravity, they hang him, and then the family, I guess it's like your most loved one, grabs your ankles and just pulls you down to break your neck. Kind of brutal. So yeah, he saw that as a child happening to his dad, and and then also singing. They like to sing, but there's some forbidden songs too. Basically, it's like dystopian where like, yeah, you're a red dude. You're not allowed to act up. And so they're at like the laurel ceremony, all hyped up. Everyone's like, yes, we're finally going to win it because this other colony is the one that wins it every time. And so they're like, "Ah, it's our chance. It's our time, dude. We're not going to have our women prostitute themselves out to get some food for their kids." And so they're waiting. And then the announcer's like, all right, the winner this time's laurel is, boom, the colony that always wins. They didn't have the most. It's a rigged system. They just win every time. It's messed up. And he's pissed. He's so pissed about it. But his wife, she already knew this because I guess she's smarter than him. She's like, let me show you something. And he's like, okay. And she's like, I'm going to cheer you up. And then she takes him through a vent. And they go through the vent, and out they come. Mind you, they're in caves. They're in, like, it's literally inside a cave. Out they come. It's like a garden. He's seeing grass for the first time in his life. He's like, what is this? And he looks up and he sees stars. He's like, stars? Those exist? Those aren't myths. And then a tree, flowers. Oh my God. It was amazing. And so him and his wife fuck and then fall asleep at the tree and get woken up by some grays. And the grays are like, what you doing here? And they're like, oh, shit. And Gray's like, you know what this means, 30 lashings. And then, but one of them, he really doesn't like Darrow. They got beef. And so he drops, I did quotations, you can't see that. He drops his like baton right next to Darrow. He's like, I'm going to beat your wife. And then to try and piss him off, but his wife Io, she calms him down. She's like, dude, you're gonna get killed if you attack him. He's baiting you. He's rage baiting you. And he's like, oh yeah, you're right. Okay, I'm not gonna fight back. I'm just gonna take it. And so they go to the town square, and then the arch governor, he's a gold. He's the governor of Mars. He's like the head honcho of Mars. He flies down from wherever he's from, and he's there to watch the lashings. And so Darrow, the main character, he takes it. He's like, I'm not gonna scream, I'm not gonna cry, I'm gonna take it like a man, and he does that. And then it's his wife's turn, Io, and she's like, Darrow, I'm sorry. And he's like, listen, it's okay. We'll just take the lashings. We'll be good little Reds, and we'll continue on. And then she's like, no, I'm sorry. He's like, what? And then she's taking her lashings and she starts singing, and she sings the forbidden song. What? And the arch governor, she's just like, kill her. And so they take her and hang her, and Darrow's just watching, crying. He can't really do anything. He's got the Greys already holding him down. He's already whipped up. And so she's hanging there, and then they're letting Darrow go and pull her feet to kill her. But she's like, no, I want Dio to do it. Dio is like, I think her cousin, someone's cousin, either hers or Darrow's cousin, one of their family members. And then she whispers something to Darrow, or to Io. Io whispers something to Dio. She whispers to not the main character, but he can't hear it. And then the person she whispers to it starts crying and then pulls her feet. And then, so also with this, they're not allowed to cut down the bodies. Basically, the bodies just stay there hung up until they turn into skeletons. Then they grind down the skeleton into bone meal and use it for fertilizer. Kind of brutal, kind of sick. But Darrow, he's a little pissed off. So in the night, he goes and cuts down her body and then brings it to the tree that they just fucked at, and buries her there. And they know he did it. Like, he's got dirt on his fingers. I think they even came. I think he slept on her grave, and they found that something happened. I don't know. Either way, they obviously knew it was him, and so he comes back, and no, actually, on the way to cut her down, his uncle was like, "Here, I know you're gonna do this. Don't do it. It's stupid, but like, drink this." And he gave him some alcohol to get a little drunk for it. Nice dude. His uncle's just a drunk. His uncle's the one that taught him how to dance, though. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, because his dad didn't, because his dad was dead. But they love dancing, big on dancing. Yeah. Either way, he goes, cuts her body down, buries her, and then the Greys are like, "Dude, time for you to get hung too, or hanged." Yeah, hanged. It's time. And so they go up and they hang him, and his uncle's like, "I'm gonna pull his feet. I'm gonna do it." And so they hang him up, and then he's now feeling the effects of that drink, and he just gets knocked out, and he wakes up. Yeah, he thought he was dead. He was talking about how he was in the veil. That's like their version of heaven. That's like, or what they believe heaven is like, is the veil. It's like a big foggy place, and he was like dreaming of Io, his wife, in there. She also told him, like, like, she wanted a rebellion, basically. Io, she was like, because he was like, "I'm gonna kill that gray dude." She's like, "No, don't. You're meant for better things than just a simple martyr." And then she was like, "But I'm gonna be a martyr." And so he gets woken up, he gets dug out, and it's by these people, and they're like, "Get in the van." And he's like, "Okay." And they get in the van, and they're driving through the tunnels. They go up to a checkpoint, and then since it's like, I don't know, they get through the checkpoint, and they go through, and then they get to an elevator. And then they go to the elevator, and then he's like, "Who are you guys?" And they're like, "Not telling you." And they got masks on. This is in the car ride, I forgot. They're like, and he's like, "Let me guess, you're the Sons of Ares." You know who the Sons of Ares are? Bet you don't, because I haven't told you. They are like a terrorist group. They're fighting up against the Golds and the Greys. They don't like them. And then they're like, "No." And he's like, "Come on, I know you are." And they're like, "No." And then they get in the elevator, they go up, and then they go up so high. They go up so well. He's like, "How long is this elevator?" And then it opens up, and they're in a penthouse. And he looks out the window. Mars just looks like a futuristic Earth. Like, it's terraformed. He was down there digging to get Earth or Mars ready for people, but it's quite clear they got a big old city. They got parks. It's all grass. It's green. There's like a little bit of red still, but like it's terraformed. It's ready for life. They've been lying to him this whole time, saying, "Oh, like, yeah, you got to get ready for people. You guys are working hard for the future of humanity." Nope. And so in the penthouse, this guy comes up and he's like, "Darrow boy, you want to be part of a rebellion?" And he's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I'm Dancer. I'm like a head guy in the Sons of Ares." And then he's like, I knew you guys were Sons of Ares, because one of the people that was in the mask was like, "Yeah, he clocked us. He got us instantly." And then Darrow explains all this to him. He's like, "Yeah, they've been lying to you. Mars has been people living on that. It's been terraformed for like 500 years, dude. You have so many generations of your family that just died digging away for just false premises. They're just the mining slaves so that we can continue to just get helium-3, because it's like our fuel source and everything. It's great for us colonizing other planets too. Like you're helping us out a great deal. Thank you. And obviously Darrow's pissed. And then they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna do a rebellion. You're gonna work with us." And Darrow's like, "Yep, let's kill them all." And so they dress them up as a high red, which is basically just a red with like brighter colors, one that's meant for outside the mines, but they're like the street sweepers, like manual laborers. They do like construction, like I think it's described in like the graphic for the book as unskilled manual laborers. And then they're walking through, and this is where it kind of explains all the different colors. So there's a bunch. I'm probably gonna forget some, but there's like greens. Those are like the like camera crews, like stuff like that. They do like, yeah, recording stuff. They're the ones that recorded. They actually, yeah, they recorded his wife being hanged, by the way. And then yeah, let me go through the colors. And then there's blues. Those are like the computer guys, like they do technology, they do all that, develop those. There's the violets, which are the violets, I believe, are the artists and stuff like that. Let me look up. I'm just gonna look up the graphic real quick. Sorry. So, oh my God, why are you making me do this? Okay. So violets, yeah, the artists and stuff. There's the obsidians. Those are like warriors, like they're big beef heads. They got big boys that do like all the fighting. There's the browns. Those are, you'll never guess it, servants, cooks, janitors, stuff like that. Pinks, those are just sex slaves. Yeah. Grays, as you know, those are the like police. Oranges, those are like mechanics, engineers. Sorry, greens are also like programmers and stuff like that. Blues are more for like on like spaceships. They're like the computer guys for those. They're in the Matrix. They actually can connect their heads to the spaceship controls. Little spoiler for book 2, because that's when that part is talked about. The yellows, those are like doctors and stuff, and like researcher. Coppers, those are the so those are like lawyers, bureaucrats, stuff like that. The whites, those are like clergy and judges. Silvers, those are financiers, like business people, like banks. And then of course golds are just the top. And so he's walking around this city as a high red. They're going along, and there's like paths that like they have to be on. Like each color has to be on a certain path. They can't go off their path. They can only go into the areas they're allowed in. Kind of crazy. But yeah, so they're going through there, and he's seeing all these different colors. He sees like a gold flying around above them. Golds just have grav boots. You just use them to fly. Lower colors, like still high colors, like silvers and stuff like that, they can borrow some grab boots, but they're kind of shit versions of them, and they have to get like a permit for it. Have to like basically go to the library and check it out with the reason for it, stuff like that. And then they're going through, and they go into this like little tavern, and then they go up in the tavern, and then the dancer, the guy he's with, there's also the other two people that are in the mask were Harmony and forgetting the other person's name. As you can tell, not too important though. Harmony is the main other one. And they go up into this tavern, and then it's a sex club. And they go in there, and then they're like, "We're here for business. Let's talk to Mikey. Take us to Mikey." And then the person that's like the bouncer is like, "No weapons." And then Harmony gives him a glare because she's a hardened criminal. And the guy's like, "Okay, maybe you can have weapons." Because I think oh no, she had a suicide vest on, I think, actually. And so they go up, and they're like, "Hey, Mikey, we need you." And Mikey's like, "Okay." Mikey is a violet. He's known as a carver. And what a carver is like a plastic surgeon, basically. So Mikey, he's the head dude. He's got all these pinks in there in the sex club. And he's like making just weird designs out of them. One is Evie. She has angel wings and avian bones. She another book, Maximum Ride. She's like one of them basically, but like an early version where they're not super mutant soldiers. But yep. So she or they're like, hey Carver, Mr. Mikey, we need you to turn our boy here, Darrow, into a gold. And they're like, hold up, what? And they're like, yeah, you heard me. Turn him into a gold. And so he's like, no, like that's gonna kill him. Like you realize this is a scrawny little like tall lanky boy. You want me to turn him into a gold, which are like big old muscled tall. I mean, I guess he's still tall, but big old muscled people with like superhuman strength and all this, because like they're also like selectively breeding the colors too. Like they're not just like born and then like set to something. Like they're bred to do that thing. So he's bred to be like a miner, versus golds are bred to just be top tier, optimal, best version of human possible. Like obsidians are bred to be just big old giants that have like 6 fingers, I think, and just for war, stuff like that. And he's like, that's gonna kill him. And they're like, we don't care, do it. And then they kind of force him into it. But turns out he also is. He's one of them. He doesn't like the caste system either. So they take Darrow through his transformation of turning him into a gold, which means like they gotta implant his sigils into him, the gold sigils. They gotta give him gold eyes. I forgot to mention like their hair and eye colors also match their colors. So like reds have red hair and red eyes, golds gold hair, gold eyes, silvers silver hair, silver eyes, all that. And so they literally like implant everything into his body, like force grow his muscles to be like the size of a watermelon for his bicep, versus where before it was like a size of like a tangerine, stuff like that. And then he has to train up his muscles. It's months of just torture basically, but it works, and he gets turned into a gold. And he's super. They also give him like drugs to make his brain better. Kind of crazy. Basically steroids and then steroids for the brain. But it works, and he becomes a gold. And they're like, okay, now here's what you're gonna do. We're about to bomb this gold family from like Pluto. Nobody really cares about them. They're not gonna really like know. But you're gonna pretend to be their son that lived, and then your new name's gonna be like Augustus or something. That's actually not it, because the arch governor, his last name is Augustus, and he's like, no, I'm still gonna be Darrow. And then they're like, but Darrow's kind of a low class name, and he's like, nope, Darrow. And they're like, okay, well, I guess it's a Pluto family, so we can kind of use some some little wiggle room with that. I guess if you want to be Darrow, you can be Darrow. And then they also teach him like manners and stuff. He has to act like a gold, versus like, so he'd be like, their words are different. Like reds, they say bloody damn and bloody hell, bloody gore, or not bloody gore. They start curse words with bloody. For the golds, they started with gory, so they say gory damn, gory hell, stuff like that. And they had to teach, like, break that into his head so that he's saying it correctly, not outing himself for being low class. Um, and so they get all that fixed, and they're like, all right, you're from this family. I guess you can keep the name Darrow. You're going to go to the Institute. And the Institute, that's like they send all the gold children there. He's like 16, by the way. Yeah, he had a wife at 16, kind of crazy. I think they married when they were 14. Yeah, but they send him to the Institute, and they're like, okay, you're gonna go here, you're gonna go through the training, you're gonna get really, you gotta come out and rise the ranks of the golds, and then you're gonna become a gold leader, and you're gonna break them from the inside. We're gonna take them down, but we gotta do it from the inside, and that's his plan. He goes in, he aces the entrance exam. Like, I think he got one question wrong. So he did so good that they had to send out people to like come and give him a lie detector test and like make sure he didn't cheat or anything. He destroyed it. And so did quite good. And then they're like, okay, everything checks out. I guess he did it on his own. He didn't cheat, which, I mean, little do they know, cheated so much by becoming a gold that, like, their lie detector test, which they did, like, they calibrated it by asking if he was from that family. Uh, yeah. So he cheated, but like only by becoming a gold. He didn't cheat in the test itself. He didn't like have like a little computer with him or something, you know. Either way, he is into the institute. They go in. They do like a draft pick. He is the second pick in his house. He's in House Mars. The houses are named after like whatever gods, like Mars, Apollo. I think is Jupiter one. Basically, the ones that are like planet names in Apollo. Yeah, but yeah, he's in House Mars, which is like known as like the kind of they're the angry ones. They're the fighters, the brawlers, because they're like this dude. He's got something in him. He's the second pick. First pick is this boy named Cassius. Cassius is he's like literally top tier. He's like, because there's like honestly there's even different ranks within the golds. There's the peerless scarred, which are like top dogs. There's guys that came like first in their class in the institute. There's the pixies, which are kind of just like the people that are like, dude, I'm a gold. I'm gonna just chill. I'm gonna go do drugs. I'm gonna have sex. I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna just live life how I enjoy it. And then there's kind of like the middle people, which I forget the name for. But yeah, so goes over to that, and then he's in the institute. He gets drafted. The Everyone's just kind of chatting. Cassius's brother Julian, he gets in there too. Darrow becomes friends with those two. Uh, Julian's kind of just a cool, like he's like the smarter one. He's like kind of a little guy, but he's smart, and he's from Cassius's family, which is like a big family, uh, like a well-known one, powerful one. So he gets in there, and then there's like the lower picks, and then down at the bottom there's this guy named Severo. Severo actually went with them on like the train to the institute or whatever the maglev or whatever space shuttle thing they took there. He was talking shit. He's kind of funny though. Severo doesn't not care, and he was picked like last, so he was down way at the bottom, and they like divided them by their ranks. Like the top 20 were the high ranks, mid ranks, low ranks, that stuff. And I think there was 100 total. It was like top 25, middle 50, bottom 25 is kind of how they arranged them. And then, so they're like, okay, everyone eat dinner. Like, this is just orientation. What's everyone's names? Blah, blah, blah. And then they go to bed, and he's like, oh my God, dude, these are our dorms? Fancy stuff. Remember, this guy lived in a cave. He had little clay buildings. He was not used to having space. So he's like, this is crazy. And then they got pinks for them, the sex slaves. And he's like, I'm good. I'm just going to go to bed. And so he goes to bed. Also, they give him, before he leaves for the institute, they gave him this ring that's like a knife ring. But he had to give that to the proctors, like the teachers, whenever he went into the institute. They're not allowed to have outside stuff. He also had a pendant that's a Pegasus, but when he says when he does something with it, it opens up, and it's actually his wedding ring with Io. Their wedding rings are weird. It's literally just like hair. I think it's her hair formed into a ring that he would wear around his neck. Kind of cute, I guess. But yeah, so he had that, but he also gave that away. But he goes to sleep, and then he wakes up or gets woken up being with a bag on his head, and he just gets the shit beat out of him, and then dragged into a shuttle, and he's just sitting there in the darkness. And then they get out of the shuttle, they throw him on the ground, and it feels like he's in a cave. And then he's sitting there, and then here's another dude get thrown in there, but they're like, yeah. And then they eventually take the bags off his head, and then they're like, all right, get up. And it's just him and one other dude. You'll never guess who the other dude is. Julian. Ooh. And so, and then throw a ring in between them, and on the ring is Mars like signet. So, and they're like, right, so one of you guys gets this, the other dies. And they're like, oh, wait, what? Huh? Yeah, they got to fight to the death for it. Mind you, Julian was a pretty high up pick. So like they're like both kind of top tier people. So Darrow, he's a little scared, but also Julian is like he's still like this scrawny little kid for a gold. He's still a physical specimen because he's still a gold. But yeah, so Julian's like, dude, like I need this, and Darrow's like, dude, I'm bigger than you. I will kill you for this. I'm going to get this. Like I have to, because he's got to rise up through the ranks and take down the golds. And Julian, and so he's like, dude, just please, just like surrender. You just go home. You can go home now. Don't have to kill you. But they're golds. They're all about honor. So, and Julian being from like a high gold family, he's like, dude, if I go back, that's gonna be worse than dying here. If I go back without this ring, I'd rather be dead. And so Darrow just crushes his skull, like, just brutally murders him. And then he puts on the ring and then walks out of the cave and then like wanders through the cave and finds this room with just a table and like a feast ready. And who's sitting there? Cassius. And Cassius is like, oh, I see you had some fun playing with your food, didn't you? Making jokes, being like, yeah, it took you a minute. I was faster than you because they're buds. Him, Cassius, Julian, they're all buds. There was also this girl whose name is like Antonia. She comes out. She's a little trickster. She's a little she likes to use her words as weapons. But she came out. She got the kill. Some other people, the big old brute dude named Titus. Obviously, he came out. He's a big boy. And then other people not really too notable. And then Severo. Severo was the lowest guy, the one picked last. They thought he wasn't going to do too well. He comes out and he's just like, he's just got his fingernails all bloody in his mouth. Dude, he's an animal. And they're like, okay, Severo. And then eventually, like, the head of their school, the guy that drafted them all, comes out and he's like, as you can see, we had to thin the herd. We placed the top 50 versus the bottom 50 kind of deal, thin the herd. Severo, they didn't say this like out loud or anything, but it's kind of Severo was kind of a surprise upset, being one of the last pick to take on, because they were like the top 50 of the pick really versus the bottom 50, except also the Julian and Darrow thing. Don't know what's happening there. But yeah, they're like, okay, well, you guys won. And Cassius this whole time had been making jokes, being like, Julian's playing with his food. When's he coming? And like, but he's like not really showing any worry. But then as time goes on and more people come in, his face is showing that he's like, okay, where is my brother? And surprise, surprise, Julian never comes. And so it goes throughout the night, and they're like, they're feasting, they're kind of having fun playing games. And Cash is like, let's play a game. Everyone name who you killed. Funny. And everyone's like, no, we're not going to do that. And so, and Darren's like, I'm going to go to bed. And so he goes to bed, and then the next day, they get flown out again, this time to a, so they're flying, and it's a big old landscape that they're flying above. It literally looks like a big old game of, like, Capture the Kingdom, because guess what it is? Big old game of Capture the Kingdom. Each of the people in each school has their own castle, and they each have to be the only one left. And so their goal, again, is just to like go in, capture everyone else's castle, their castle, Mars, and each one kind of like corresponds with like their house. Like Mars is honestly not given much. They have some wolves around them, because like wolf is the animal of Mars, something like that. And yeah, and so there's like Mars, they're next to one that's like right on the river. They have like a bunch of crops, trees, stuff like that. They even have ovens like to make bread. So they're chilling on food. Meanwhile, House Mars, they don't got much food. They don't have anything to cook with. They don't even have stuff to make a fire because these guys, you gotta think, these are the elites. They're pampered their whole life. They never went camping. They don't know how to make a fire. And then the other houses hasn't really, they don't see them. And so at the very beginning, Cassius and Darrow, they see that there's like an airdrop type thing coming in, and there's this big table set up with a bunch of resources. And so Cassius is like, "Hey, Darrow, you want to race to it?" And then Darrow's like, "Of course." And then Rock is cool. I like him. He is like, "You guys are dumb. You know this is like a trap. It's meant to have us fight the team right next to us for these supplies." They're like, "Yeah, we know. We don't care." And so they race to it. Lo and behold, the people from the bread castle waiting for them in the tall grass around it. And they're like, "Hey, we're going to kill you now." And so they fight for it, but Darrow and Cassius, they're stronger. They beat them off. Well, not that, but they beat them, and then they got them like tied up, and then like the teachers are floating above them. Teachers had like the grab boots on. Sorry if you can hear this. And they're like, "So what are the rules on killing?" And then the teachers are like, "Well, like, no, don't kill them, but like in the heat of the moment, like if someone dies, they die. We got med bots ready to pick them up and like kind of heal them. It's literally just like little med drone things that fly down from the sky and heal them." And so they're like, "Okay, we're just gonna take the resources." And then so they take the resources to go back to the castle. They're back at the castle, and they're kind of starts being some infighting where they have different goals in mind. Titus, the big brute guy, he just wants to go and raid the bread people. He's like, "Hey, we need their food. Let's just go there, raid them, take everything." And then they also have these things, they're standards for each castle, just a big old rod where if you touch it to someone's forehead, it puts your mark on their forehead, and then they're your slave. So he's like, "Let's get some slaves, let's get some bread, let's fuck shit up." And then Darrow, who's like, "Yeah, let's not start fighting them instantly. Like maybe it might be a good idea to like have a kind of friends." And then Atonia, whatever her name was, she's like, "No, screw you two guys. I'm gonna be the leader." Because they're all, again, they're in like a school thing trying to prove themselves. Everyone wants to be the leader. Cassius decides to team up with Darrow, and he's like, "I'm gonna be the leader of your team. That's gonna be chill." Severo, he's like, "Fuck you guys, I'm out." He just disappears. And so they're split into three different groups, and there's like, as time goes on, kind of things get worse. Again, they don't have fire. They don't know how to make fire. Darrow and Cassius are out scouting around the area. They find these little like ruined like towers that end up having a like supply cache in them. Find some matches, pretty nice. And so they find that they're like, "Oh, we're set. We got some good supplies going right now. Hell yeah!" And so they're kind of doing good. They found some sheep, and they were kind of like farming them, and they got in some. They were getting heated with Titus and his group, so they kind of moved outside the castle, still close by, but outside of it. Titus basically took over the castle. He had his team of raiders that would just go and plunder the bread castle over and over. They People weren't really liking him, but he's big and strong, and so they couldn't really say anything. And then so they were, yeah, doing that. But and then the girls group doesn't really go on hers too much. But yeah, so there's all that, and then As time goes on, Titus's team is getting a little hungry, and Rock, he's with Darrow. He's like, yo, like, we need to find a way to unite all of us. Like, we're all just getting weak as hell. Like, we're gonna lose if we don't team up. And so they're like, okay, let's set a plan. They found matches in one supply caches. They're like, we got fire now. We can kind of take away from Titus's team by promising them non-raw meat. We can give them food. And then, but they're like, well, if they know we've had it this whole time, they're gonna get really pissed, and their whole group might come after us. Like that's what Darrow was saying, and so like he was kind of on edge about it. And Rock's like, come on, dude, we gotta do something. And then this whole time, Titus is still just going and raiding them. He's like, I want to kill. Like he was the one that asked the teachers if he was allowed to kill, and then when they're like, nah, he got bummed. Dude's just angry. And so he gets all that. They go to they're watching Titus raid the bread people, and he is just brutal with it. Like, he cut off their ears, like, he'd mark them, like, he'd turn them into slaves and, like, cut off their ears. He would, some of them, he'd rape. Like, straight up. They had turned them into pinks. He's like, you're our pink now. Straight up. That there was one girl that like she was up on the castle walls of the red one, and she was mocking them, and then he took a lasso, grabbed her, pulled her off the castle wall, and then in the night had one of the girls from his group scream like she was getting raped, and but so that they'd all run out pissed off because she was like, I guess, one of the favorites in the Red Kingdom. And so they all ran out, but little did they know he had buried her right in front of their castle door. So when they ran out, they trampled her to death. She died. He killed him. He killed her by making her friends run over her. Brutal. And so they're like, okay, we need to do something about Titus. Like, he is like, no, we can't stand this. Meanwhile, in between this time, Darrow was out exploring, and he was at like this little lake, and this girl rolls up on a horse. This girl he had actually seen before. When he was like getting used to being a gold, they took him out for horse riding, and this girl had actually came up on him and was like, dude, you suck at riding horses. What the hell? And so he knew this girl. He's like, oh my God, you're the girl from the park when I was riding horses. Whoa. And she was like, where are you from? He's like, House Mars. And she's like, oh, you're that, you what, you guys are evil. And he's like, no, that's not me. And she's like, well, you're allowing it. And so he's like, I gotta do something. We gotta do something about Titus. And then, hold on one second. All right, sorry, I'm in my car now. So he met up with this Mustang girl. That's what he named her. I don't know if I said it already, but he gave her the nickname Mustang, I guess because she was riding a Mustang. And so he had also gotten the name, actually I don't know if he got the name yet, so I'll hold on to that for a bit. But actually, yeah, he got the name Reaper because he found at that start of the battle, like where the like cornucopia type beat was going on, the airdrop that they all fought at. He had found a sling blade, the like sickle thing I was talking about earlier. He found one of those and used it in the fight. And he had been using that, and he was a beast with it. And they're like, okay, he has a scythe, he's a reaper. I guess it is more like a scythe then. I don't know. I like to imagine it as a sickle. I think that looks cooler. But either way, he has the nickname Reaper. He gave her the nickname Mustang. And she's like, okay, so, fuck you. And he's like, hold on. What if we team up, we take out Titus for you, you can take his group as, like, slaves, and in exchange, we get our castle back, and you give us some horses. Because she has horses. He doesn't. She's like, I guess. He's like, yes, okay. And so they set up a plan. They, they go in, they kind of distract, like, Darrow and his team kind of distract, Titus. And then, actually, wait. I'm kind of hazy on this. One of the teams distracts Titus while the other goes into the castle and takes it over. I think it's it's Darrow that distracts them. He also at this point is like, okay, we need extra help too. Where the fuck is Servo? They find Servo. He's a wolf now. He's wearing wolf pelt. He's howling at night like a wolf, and like the other wolves there, they respect him. He's seen as a pack leader to literal wolves. It's crazy. And so they find him. They're like, dude, we need your help. And it turns out there's a couple other people on Team Mars that started following Servo. And they were called his Howlers. So you had a pack of Howlers, and then Servo. Mustang's group, they're like, okay, here's the plan. We're going to have, it's coming back to me now. Darrow goes outside the castle, and then he challenges Titus to a fight or something. Like, he provokes him to come out. And he's like, it looks like he's all alone. And they have they killed a bunch of their horse, or how'd they get horses? Never mind. This comes in later. But they take over the castle. Titus, they provoke him, they get him outside, they take it over, they put him in a jail cell, and then, what's her face? Mustang, she's like, well, we got your castle now, like, what you gonna do? And so, they're like, shit, we should have thought of that. And so, yeah, we're just gonna wait him out. Little did Mustang know, they had Servo go in and take a shit in all the wells and stuff. So they had no water. They didn't have any running water there. They had nothing for food. So it takes like 3 days for them to be like, okay, fine. You can take your castle back. In exchange, you let us take Titus and deal with him. And Darrow's like, no. We're gonna keep Titus. Here's the deal. You can leave the castle and you can keep your shit, or we can just wait you out until you die. And they're like, fine, I guess it's better than dying. And so they leave Titus, but Titus is still they got him in a cell. They got him locked up. And so around this time, Darrow is like, hey, friend of a friend told me Titus killed your brother. Did I say? Yeah, he told Carius, he's like, yo, Titus killed your brother Julian. Like, he was the one that fought him, and he killed him. And this pisses off Carius. I might have changed his name, but I'm going with Carius from now on. I think that's his name. So he's like, yeah, you want to get revenge on him? Or actually, he's not even like that, because he's like, we're gonna execute him. Because, he's been raping people. Like, yeah, he needs to die. And so he goes down to the cell to talk to Titus. He's like, listen, gotta put you down, bud. And Titus is like, they did it first. And he's like, what do you mean they did it? Like, no, they did not. They did not come over and start raping us. You did that. Like, what? He's like, no, those bloody damn Golds came down and it raped my wife. And he's like, wait, bloody damn? Hold up. Huh? Turns out Titus was also a red that went through the same transformation. And he's like, oh, fuck. But also he's like, dude, you're still raping people. Like, I don't, like, you're a red like me, but, like, you're not a good dude. And so he goes back up, and he's talking with Rock, because Rock has become, like, his advisor at this point. And Rock's like, dude, like, here's the thing. Oh, also, in between, whenever when Darrow had originally told Carius that Titus was the one that killed his brother, um, Carius tried to go in and fight them by himself, and he challenged Titus to a duel, and then Titus just kind of laughed at him with his buddies and just kicked the shit out of him, and then pissed on him. And so Carius comes up, he's like, let me execute him, let me be the one that does it. But Rock's like, you gotta show yourself strong as a leader. Like, Cassius is already, like, he's no longer seen as leader to these people. He got pissed on, like, kind of lost his dignity there. You gotta just be cold, efficient, just throw it in front of everyone, just kind of make it simple and easy. Keep yourself the leader. But Darrow is like, dude, like, I killed his brother. Obviously, nobody else knows that. So he feels real bad. He's like, I gotta let me have vengeance. Like, I understand this. Like, I want to murder the arch governor because he fucking killed my wife. Like, I would murder him. I need to give this to him. Come on. And so he allows Cassius to be the one that does it. And then Titus is like, I want a trial by combat. And they're like, okay, Cassius is going to be the one fighting you. And so they go set up the fight. Cassius just fucking decimates him. Cassius has been dueling since he was a kid. His whole life. And he knows karate. Not karate, karate. It's like their fighting style. And he's been doing it since he was a little kid. So, like, he's a demon with the blade, as they say. I say that. I am they. But yeah, so he destroys him, takes him out, and then everyone's like, damn, Cassius kind of strong. Yeah, he got pissed on, but, like, did you see him shit on that dude? And so it kind of loses Darrow some of his, like, loyal fan base. Some of his boys are like, maybe Cassius is strong. Holy shit, this car just farted in front of me. But yeah, so he, so Cassius is now kind of like respecting him again, and Rock's like, dude, should have listened to me. And so they continue. I forget something. Oh, never mind, that comes in later. Okay, so later on, they're still, like, they're just kind of, now there's still that one girl, Antonia, that she's still, like, another factor, but her group isn't that big or anything, so she's kind of, like, and she's sneaky, so she's like, okay, yeah, Darrow, you're head guy, you and Cassius, big two, we're gonna live with you guys, we're gonna kind of be our own thing a little bit, but, like, we respect you as the leaders, yeah. And so they're having their time, and then they go, and they're like, remember Mustang's group? Fuck her. And I should point it out now, Primus is what they all want to be. That's like the head of their group. So right now, it's Darrow and Cassius as co-Primuses. They also have like a kind of skill rating where, like, if you get 5, like, good boy points, you become the Primus. And I think Darrow is ahead in that at this point. But Mustang is the Primus of her group. They go up to her castle, and they're like, yeah, you're fucked. And then she's like, no, we're chilling. But they come up with a plan because they're smarter than that. And so it's actually just Darrow that goes up, and no. They go up, they say you're fucked, and they kill all their horses outside because Mustang's group has horses. They don't. They're like, we're not going to give you that advantage. So all their horses are dead outside of their castle. And so next day, Darrow comes up and he's like, I challenge you guys to a duel. Let's just do a quick one-on-one for the castle. And Mustang's like, okay, I'm going to send out Pax. Pax is this fucking massive dude. Big old brute. She also has her The rest of their team come out too. So they're all sitting outside, and Dara's by herself, and they're like, okay, it's fine. And then, but she's kind of sus, and it's tall grass around, so she's like, burn all that grass first. And he's like, okay, fuck it. And he burns all the grass to show nobody's hiding in it. And she's like, okay, I trust this enough to send out the team. And so they're all out there. Pax, I love him. He just yells his name. Like all their names were is like Darren Andromi, I think is like the name of the family he pretended to be. Pax whatever. But what he does every time he fights, he just screams his name over and over and just batters people because he's a big dude. He's strong. And so, sorry, my car was screaming at me because I didn't slam on my brakes at a green light. But so they're like about to square up, and then kind of Dara's boys are like they come up behind, and he's like, here, we're all here. Like, we're chilling. And she's like, wait, hold on. Where's the wolf? Speaking of Severo. And then Severo and his group of howlers are sitting next to her. He raises up his hand. They got their wolf cloaks on. She's like, okay. Alright. Nothing sneaky. But then they start to fight. And Darrow just howls. And they're like, what the fuck? Why are you howling? All of a sudden, you remember those dead horses? Their fucking stomachs get cut open. Severo and his boys were hiding in the fucking in the horses, and there's a bunch of other people. They literally cut in. They did a Luke Skywalker sleeping in the horses. They come out now. They got Mustang's group surrounded, and they just fucking destroy them. They destroy them. Severo actually snuck into the castle. And he's jumped and he grabbed their standard, and he's out. Wait, no. One of them never mind. I'm lying on that part. But one of Mustang's group jumps out, starts running away with the standard towards the back, and Darrow just quickly chases them down and takes it. And so they've conquered their castle. They got them good. And they're like, fuck yeah, we did it. But Mustang gets away. But that's okay. They've taken over their entire castle. They got their standard. They got it. And so they're like, yeah, and it just continues with them kind of building up their supplies. They now got horses. They have a decent supply of food, but they still got that bread place next to them that they have not been able to penetrate yet because they're literally like in a castle that they don't need to leave. Like, they're self-sufficient in there, and they're right next to a lake, so they got water there too. They're set, the bread castle. And then at one point during the night, there's a lot of commotion. They hear a bunch of sonic booms, which means the teachers flying above them watching the whole thing, they're all flying towards something. And they see in the distance just an absolute monstrous amount of medbots. An absurd amount of medbots flying down. And then someone's like, oh, that's the Jackal. And Darren's like, who the fuck is the Jackal? Huh? What? And so they fly on. It continues. Kind of things go on, and then eventually some girl comes up in a horse, on a horse. Sorry, and she's like, I want to speak to Cassius. And they're like, well, Darrow's our primus. Like, he's the leader. You want to talk to him? And she's like, oh, I don't talk to dead people. And they're like, huh? And then Cassius comes up, he's like, what do you want? And she just throws a bag at him. And she's like, compliments from the Jackal. Bring us the Reaper's head for more supplies. And with it, it's a razor. The razor is like a crazy sword that they got. It's actually no, it's an ion blade. But an ion blade is kind of like a lightsaber. A razor it's like a whip that can turn into a sword. It's really cool. And it's the only thing that can penetrate like the super armor that they have. I forget what it's called. It starts with an A, I want to say.
It's like Ares, something like that. Aeris, I believe. I could be wrong, but a razor is the only thing that can penetrate that. But the ion blade can still do some damage, and there's like ion armor too. It's just like doing shit, kind of. But yeah, she throws him that. She's like, give us his head, and you can have more. And he just kind of laughs at her. He's like, dude, I'm not gonna give up my friend. Like, well, we're gonna destroy you. Thanks for the weapon, though. And there's also still something else in the bag, though. And so Darrow, he tells Severo, he's like, hey, I want you to follow Cassius a bit. See what's in that bag, because Cassius wasn't showing them. He's curious. And so he sends Cassius and Severo on like a scouting mission. They go and get some supplies. And then Cassius is like, hey, when they really get back. Actually, no, while they're gone. Sorry. I'm remembering as I go. I read this book like a month ago. While they're gone, Darrow gets woken up in the middle of the night. And they're like, he's like, what the hell's happening? And this girl's like, it's Rock and Leah. Leah is Rock's girlfriend. They're gone. They took them. And he's like, wait, what? And she's like, come with me. And guess who it is? It's the Antonia girl. She's like, they took that fucking jackal came and got him. They got him. And so he's running out. He's again just woken up in the middle of the night. Probably hasn't gotten sleep in days, so he's tired. He runs out, and like as they're running, he's like, wait, hold on, something seems fishy. And so he just jumps in a bush. He just jumps and hides in the bush. And then Antonia comes out, and she's like, oh, Reaper, where are you? I got your friend. I'm going to slit her throat if you don't give yourself up. It's Leah. She has Leah. Holding a knife to her throat. And he's like, listen, like, sorry, Leah, but my life's more important. Yeah. And she wasn't bluffing. She slit her throat. And so he's like, oh, shit. Okay. Fuck. And so he kind of has to hide out until Cassius and Severo get back. And then they get back, and then they go back in, and they fucking are like, yeah, Antonia, you're done. And they crucify her. They literally fucking crucify her. They put nails in her fucking hands, hang her up. I don't think they kill it. Yeah, they don't kill her, though. They just crucify her. And so, after that, Cassius is like, yo, Darrow, come check this out. And they go riding. And they're like pretty far away from the castle. Just the two of them. And Cassius is like, you want to know what's in the bag? And Darrow's like, yeah, what's up? And he's like, it was a video of your fight in the cave. You remember who you fought in the cave, buddy? And Darrow's like, oh, fuck. Oh, no, he knows I killed his brother now. And so he's like, listen, you killed my brother. We're going to duel now. Yeah. And he throws him an ion blade. He's got an ion blade himself. And he's like, shit. So they square up to duel. And again, you gotta remember, Cassius, this dude's been dueling since he was like 4 years old. He destroys Darrow. Just absolutely. He's playing games with him. He's literally like cutting his arms and stuff, just like making it hurt. And then he stabs him in the belly and twists it so that the wound doesn't heal as easily. And then Darrow collapses and he just leaves him to bleed out. Darrow then wakes up in a cave. He's like, what the hell? Huh? I'm alive? And he sees this girl. He's like, no, I'm in the veil. That's Io. And he's like, wait, hold on. She got gold hair. Turns out Mustang, she saved him. She saw him bleeding out. This is winter at the time, too. Or around. No. I think it's. Never mind. It's like the beginning of winter. And so she's in the cave. She heals him up. And she's like, listen, like, I couldn't just let you die there. Come on, I'm not evil. And so she heals him up. They're just the two of them left in the cave because he can't go back to his castle. Cassius just took over. So they just team up, the two of them, and while they're like in the cave, uh, it goes into winter, so it's harder to find food. And Mustang gets sick, so he's like, "Fuck, I gotta go. I gotta find something to heal you up. I gotta find you some like Tylenol or something." And so he goes out searching for supplies, and he meets up with one of the teachers. And the teacher throws down a jammer. What the hell is this? And he's like, "Listen, you know that ring you got? There's a bunch of little cameras on that. It's recording everything. We send this out for like like Hunger Games type shit. Uh, but let me tell you something. How you think the Jackal got that armor and weapon? Guess what? Jackal is Arch-Governor's son, and he's gonna win. Arch-Governor, he has bribed all of us teachers. We're all working for him. We're giving him supplies. We're giving him extra shit. I'm telling you this because Sepro. Wait. Never mind. You didn't hear that. That'll be revealed later. I'm only telling you this because I like you and you're my student. Because it was like the teacher from Mars. He's like, and I kind of want to level the playing field a little bit. Yeah. So here's some medicine. This never happened. The jammer's blocking the camera feed. Go on. And so he goes back to heal Mustang, but he hears some dudes talking. He goes in there. There's two dudes. They got Mustang tied up, and they're just using her as a bench. They're just sitting on her. There's a laughing. They're like, "Oh, what do we want to do to her?" And Darrow gets heated from this. He's like, "What the fuck?" And he goes in, and he beats the shit out of him, and he's about to kill him. And Mustang's like, "No, let them live." He's like, "Oh, fucking hell, come on." But he does it. And so he lets them live, and in turn, she's like, "Okay, thank you." And then, but he's like, listen, he turns to them, he's like, "Do you want the blade or the rope?" And they're like, rope. And so he ties them to a tree out in the cold. And she's like, thank you for this. Thank you for not killing them. Thank you for having a soul. And then they go to sleep, and then in the middle of the night, he goes out and kills them. Kind of funny. But yeah, so he does that, and then a little bit of time goes by. They venture out, and then they come up with a plan that she's like, "Listen, we gotta just basically form our own group. We gotta win this just with us. Like, we can't win this on solos. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna find people that were slaves that ran away. Because, I mean, they're not, like, actual slaves. Like, it's just a brand on their forehead. But if they don't do as they're said, they're just kind of banished. And they're, like, disgraced back at home. They're basically seen as worthless, as people that have no honor, stuff like that. Because, I mean, they lost the game and they couldn't handle it. And so she's like, we're gonna make a team of them. We're not gonna have slaves ourselves. We're just gonna kind of make a team. Me and you can be leader. And he's like, okay, let's do that. And they get a team going, and they're kind of like, they're very loyal. Like, every time they come up on people, they because they have Mustangs maybe she did get away with this. Maybe it was her with the standard, she got away? Yeah, that was what it was. I lied earlier. But they have Mustang standard, and so they basically, like, run up on a group of people, and then it's like the people that were slaves, and they're like, "Listen, like, you can put it on us. We're not going to listen, though. We already disgraced." And they're like, "No. What if I remove the mark on your head and make you not a free person?" And they're like, "Whoa! I love you!" And then join the group. And then as their group grows, they then switch to the tactic of making them their slaves, but then once they help them capture a castle, they remove the thing on their head. And so they're getting pretty big. And like the teachers, that especially the one that is in like who's the Jackal's teacher, they're getting a bit worried. And so Darrow's teacher comes back down, blocks it again. He's like, listen, like, dude, you gotta back off. They're trying to kill you. You're actually a risk to Jackal's victory. You're gonna die. And then Reaper, aka Darrow, is like, I don't fucking care, dude. Like, I'm gonna keep going. Let me go take out House Apollo real quick though, because Apollo is like the number 2. Like Jackal was part of like Saturn or something like that. I don't remember, but Apollo was like kind of a risky one. He's like, listen, I'm gonna take out their castle. I'm gonna win, and then the teacher's not gonna be here to watch anymore. Like they don't have any reason to stay after they lose. That was his plan. And he goes, takes out a castle. He also like can tell he's getting followed. And then there's one point where like a fucking bear chases him. Like all of a sudden just a big old bear appears and he's like, what the fuck? And it chases him. It's kind of like the Hunger Games fireball scene. And chases him down. And then he runs into a bear trap. Like a rope, not an actual bear trap, but like, it's like a rope trap and it grabs him and then also grabs the bear. No, the bear falls into a pitfall actually. So the bear dies. And then Severo walks up and Severo's like, dude, you fell for, what the, you're not a bear. And so he's like, oh my god, Severo, what's up? And so they team up with Severo. And so they now got him on his squad and they're just decimating places. Like they're just taking over. And they're like, okay, Severo, we got a plan. We're going to do something crazy. And what they do is they go back to House Mars, Mars Castle. And they sneak in at night and they just carve the scythe, the sling blade onto like a bunch of stuff and set shit on fire. And like just scare the shit out of everyone there, being like, oh my god, the Reaper lives. The Reaper has returned. And this causes Rock to find them. I might be kind of switching up on stuff here. It might be different timelines with different people finding them and stuff. Like Severo might be after this. But either way, kind of same concept where he's building up his army. He's getting support. He makes sure that people know he's still alive. All that good stuff. And so he then moves on, takes over Castle Apollo. He's like, fuck yeah, there's one of them gone. And then he finds out some more information about the Jackal. The Jackal, turns out, his house, they were like in a cave. And there was a big old rock slide thing, whatever it's called, that shut them in their cave. And this dude ate people. He's a cannibal. He had to eat people to survive. He's like, holy shit, that's crazy. But then his teacher comes down and he's like, by the way, like, the Apollo teacher's still here. He's still trying to fucking murder you. Yeah. Just wanted to let you know. And then Darrow, he's like, thanks for letting me know. Wait, I think there's one more part. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, so like here's like a little bit of something. I think he gives him his ring that turns into like it's like a blade ring. Like if he pushes on it right, like a little knife pops out. He gives him that. And then actually, no, yeah, it is this part. Okay. At this part, he's like, by the way, sorry. And the teacher's like, sorry for what? And he just fucking decks him, knocks him the fuck out, and then locks him in a cage. And he's like, I'm taking your gear. Thanks for the grab boots. They have a cloak of invisibility. And then his like armor and stuff. He's like, thank you. I'll be taking that now. And so now he's geared the fuck up. He's like, alright, let's go get the Jackal. And then they go and they're at Jackal's castle. They got like literally it's like the last one, like final boss type beat. And he's like, alright, let's go, let's do this. And they're fucking destroying them. They destroy the Jackal's castle. Jackal comes out. He's wanting to fight. They're like, all right, let's fight. And he starts winning. Darrow starts winning, which is crazy because everyone's like, Jackal's the scariest dude ever. Like, he just murdered all these people. He's a psychopath. These people literally, they wear the bones of their dead enemies as like trinkets, like earrings. They braid their hair with it, like shit like that. They're fucking animals. But he's winning, and the Jackal starts running, and so he's chasing him up like a mountain, and all of a sudden Jackal's teacher comes down to save him. I could be off with this. Oh shit. Something happens. I want to say it's the teacher comes down to save him, but either way, the Jackal gets away. And Darrow obviously is fucking pissed about this because he literally just got cheated. Like, he should have been killing him right then and there. But he gets stopped. And at this point, either way, like, no matter what happened, don't let the Jackal get away. It was the teacher's doing, but now the teacher's in front of him. And the teacher's like, dog, like, can't be doing that. He needs to win. Like, he's the arch-governor's son. He's the winner. And they like disarm him, and like, can't be having that. Nope, that's our armor, shit like that. But Darrow's like, you forgot one thing. Flips out the fucking knife on the ring and just stabs him in the eyeball and kills the teacher. Then he's like, Mustang, take his gear. Let's fly up to the top, because at the top is like where the teachers are all chilling. They call it Olympus. Basically just a big castle that they just got like all their niceties there. They're like showers, they're slaves, they hang out there, eat food, watch the kids kill each other. Fun time. And so they fly up there and they're like, we're taking over. And so he's like, oh shit, okay. And they're going in, they're literally capturing the teachers, like taking their gear, just storming the place. And the teachers like call for their like grays and obsidians to come in and save them, but it's too late. They already got all the armor. Darrow and all of his boys are now up there because like they're flying back down to bring more people up back and forth, and then they come down with extra gear to get everyone up. So everyone's got grab boots and shit, and they take over Olympus. And at some point during this, the Mustang, she's like second in command. She's basically she's Darrow's boo thing, as they say. She is like, I'm gonna go down and get the Jackal. I'm gonna get him for you. Let me do that for you. And he's like, okay, fair. I'm gonna finish up cleaning up the mess here, and then we'll come down and join you. And then he runs into his teacher while he's finishing up there, and his teacher's like, you idiot. Listen. And then he's like, you don't know the secret. And Darrow's like, yeah, dude, Severo's your son. And then she's like, oh shit, you found out. but bet you didn't know this. Mustang, she's also the arch-governor's daughter, aka Jackal's sister. You fucked up, buddy. You have now lost. And he starts laughing at him. He's like, oh, fuck. Wait. No, because, never mind. Mars' teacher is still in that cell. That's when he told him about Severus Stone. It is a different teacher that was like, yes. But I think it was the teacher for Jackals, or it was Apollo teacher. Whichever, one of those two was like, yeah, those are brothers and sisters. You fucked up. And he's like, oh, shit, yeah, I did. And he's pissed now, but he's gathering all of his troops. He's like, we're going to go down there, and we're going to fucking kill them. We're winning this. And then they fly down, and then Mustang pulls up, and she's like, Darrow, my boy, how could you be so foolish? You really think I would betray my family for you? And Darrow's like, I didn't even know it was your family. And she's like, I would, and then throws him the jackal. He's all tied up and naked. They fucking stripped him. I don't know why. Kind of weird. And he's like, ah, Mustang, my girl, fuck yeah. And then it's declared a victory for him. Meanwhile, Severo's up top, in the Olympus, and he's in the fucking server room, whatever, and he's hacking away on Adobe Premiere, editing all the footage to make it not look as bad. And then like a big ship shows up, and they're like, oh fuck, we're so dead. And then out comes like Arch Governor and like all the not the Arch Governor, but out comes like kind of the more heads of the Institute being like, yo, congrats, Darrow, you won. And he's like, fuck yeah, okay, you're not gonna kill me. Like, yeah, dude, you showed, like, you did a good job. You didn't even, like, you went above and beyond. You captured all the castles and Olympus. You're a conqueror, my dude. You're the Archprentis, which is like the head of everyone at the Institute, like all the students. Like, good job, dog, you won. And they're like, fuck yeah. And then they fly back to the Institute. And then that's where they're having like the little party and the Arch Governor's there. And on like the ship back, everyone's like, yo, like, dude, you're going to have your options for any job you want. Like, you are set. Like, you're going to get offers from every family, all of them. They're going to be wanting you on their team. And he's like, wait, this is good, yes. I would rise up through the ranks and kill the fucking Arch Governor. Cause he's still pissed. But then Arch Governor comes up to him at the winning ceremony. He's like, so, saw you embarrassed my family. Yikes. You want to join? And Darrow's like, oh shit. Like, what? Like, you want me to, like, be in your, you want me, and he's like, yeah, you want to be a Lancer of House de Augustus? They use Latin. I think AU is the, like, of, in that. Everyone's like, it's like Darrow, Adro. But yeah, he's like, you wanna join my family and be a Lancer? And then Darrow's like, oh shit. And everyone's like looking around, they're like, huh? The Arch Governor's talking to him? And then Darrow's like, let me think about it. Yes. Cause he's like, this is gonna, I'm gonna be right under the head honcho of Mars. Like, of course. This is the dude that I'm trying to get revenge against. I'm gonna fuck him over. And the Arch Governor's like, okay, you know what that means. And then he does like a speech where he like denounces his family. And everyone's shocked. They're like, holy shit, this dude just denounced his family to join the Arch Governor's family. Crazy. And then the Arch Governor's like, good, and you can go to the academy now under my family. And then it ends. But it was a pretty crazy story. I didn't do it justice. It's so good. I'm reading book 2. I just read literally a third of book 2 in like one like work shift today. Great book. You should read it.